The massive warship hung in space like a beast waiting to strike. Its dark metal body stretched for miles. Weapons covered every part of it. This was the pride of Korath, the most feared ship in 3 galaxies. And today, a small human shuttle was flying straight toward it. Inside the shuttle, Ambassador David Chen checked his uniform one more time. His hands were steady, but his heart was beating fast. The Korath Dominion had conquered 17 species. They had never lost a war. And now Earth needed to make a deal with them or face destruction. "Ambassador, we dock in 5 minutes, the pilot announced. Chen nodded and looked at his small team. There were 4 soldiers in heavy armor, carrying big guns. They looked strong and ready, but Chen knew they would be like children compared to the Korath warriors. Then his eyes moved to the 5th member of his security team. Lieutenant Maya Torres sat quietly in the corner. She was a small woman, barely 5 feet and 4 inches tall. Her body was slim, almost thin. She had soft features and calm dark eyes. She wore simple black clothes with no armor and carried no visible weapons. One of the armored soldiers, Sergeant Peters, had questioned Chen about her before they left Earth. "Sir, with respect, why is she coming? She looks like she would break in a strong wind." Chen had just smiled. "Lieutenant Torres is exactly who we need." Now, as the shuttle entered the Korath docking bay, Chen felt grateful she was here. Maya had not spoken much during the journey. She simply sat, watched, and breathed slowly. There was something about her stillness that felt different from fear. It felt like patience. The shuttle landed with a heavy thump. The doors opened and hot air rushed in. It smelled like metal and something else, something animal. Chen stepped out first. His breath caught in his throat. The Korath were waiting for them. 20 warriors stood in 2 lines, creating a path to the main door. Each one was at least 8 feet tall. Their bodies were covered in black scales that looked harder than stone. They had 4 arms each, ending in claws that could cut through steel. Their faces were flat, with yellow eyes and mouths full of sharp teeth. They were monsters. Beautiful, terrible monsters. At the end of the path stood the biggest Korath of all, Commander Vrex. He was nearly 9 feet tall, and his scales had a slight red color that showed his royal blood. Old scars crossed his face and arms. Each scar was a story of battle and victory. Chen walked forward, his team following behind him. He could feel the eyes of every Korath on them. He could hear the low growls in their throats. They were not impressed. "Ambassador Chen," Vrex said. His voice was deep and rough, like rocks grinding together. "Welcome to my ship. I hope your journey was comfortable." "It was, Commander. Thank you for receiving us." Vrex's yellow eyes moved over the human group. He looked at the 4 armored soldiers and made a sound of dismissal. Then his gaze stopped on Maya. For a long moment, the massive alien stared at the small human woman. Maya looked back at him without any expression on her face. "This one," Vrex said, pointing a clawed finger at Maya. "What is her purpose?" "This is Lieutenant Maya Torres," Chen replied. "She is my personal guard." Silence. Then Vrex made a strange clicking sound with his mouth. Around him, the other Korath began to make the same sound. It took Chen a moment to realize they were laughing. "Your personal guard?" Vrex said. "This tiny creature? This, delicate thing?" He stepped closer to Maya, his huge body blocking out the light. He bent down until his face was close to hers. His hot breath moved her hair. "I have warriors who could snap her bones with one finger. I have soldiers who eat creatures bigger than her for breakfast." Maya did not step back. She did not blink. She just looked up at him with those calm, dark eyes. "She does not speak?" Vrex asked Chen. "I speak when I have something to say," Maya answered. Her voice was soft and clear. Vrex pulled back slightly. Something flickered in his yellow eyes. Surprise, perhaps. He had expected fear. He had expected her to shake or cry or beg. Instead, she stood before him like a stone in a river, letting the water flow around her. "Interesting," Vrex murmured. Then he straightened up and turned away. "Come, we will talk in my conference room. Try to keep up with your little legs." The Korath warriors laughed again as the humans followed their commander into the ship. The hallways of the Pride of Korath were built for giants. The ceilings were high and the doors were wide. Everything was made of dark metal with sharp edges. There were no soft things anywhere. No art, no color, no comfort. This was a ship made for war and nothing else. As they walked, Maya watched everything. She saw how the Korath moved. She noticed which leg they stepped with first. She observed how they held their forearms. She studied the joints where their scales met. She counted their breaths. The other humans saw monsters. Maya saw something else. She saw patterns. She saw weaknesses. They reached the conference room. It was a large space with a long table made of stone. Korath officers were already seated, their massive bodies making the chairs look small. Vrex took his place at the head of the table. "Sit," he commanded. The humans sat. Maya positioned herself slightly behind Ambassador Chen, standing against the wall. Several Korath noticed this and made amused sounds. "Your guard does not sit?" one of them asked. "She prefers to stand," Chen said. "She prefers to be ready," Maya corrected quietly. The Korath officer who had spoken leaned forward. His name was Draxus, and he was even more scarred than Rex. He was the High Warrior, the champion of the Dominion. He had killed more enemies than anyone could count. "Ready for what, little human?" Draxus asked. "If we wanted to kill you all, your standing or sitting would make no difference. You would be dead before you could scream." "Perhaps," Maya said, "but I would rather die on my feet than sitting down." Draxus stared at her. Then he turned to Vrex. "I like this one. She has spirit. It is almost a shame she is so weak." "All humans are weak," another officer said. "Look at them. Soft skin, no claws, no armor. They are like newborn animals." "And yet," Vrex said slowly, "they have built an empire that spans 50 worlds. They have technology that matches our own. Perhaps there is more to them than we see. Muscles and claws are not the only kind of strength," Chen said carefully. Draxus laughed. "Spoken like someone who has neither. Tell me, Ambassador, have you ever killed an enemy with your bare hands? Have you ever tasted blood in battle? No. Your kind fights with machines and tricks because you cannot fight with your bodies." Maya listened to every word. She kept her face blank, but inside she was mapping the room. 3 exits, 20 Korath, 15 steps to the nearest weapon. She calculated angles and distances. She measured how fast each warrior might move. The negotiations were about to begin, but Maya knew that the real test would come later. It always did. She had seen how they looked at her, like she was nothing, like she was weak, like she was prey. They had no idea what she really was. And when they found out, it would be too late. The negotiations started badly and got worse with every hour. Ambassador Chen explained Earth's position clearly. The Helios Corridor was a passage through space that connected 3 major trade routes. Earth had discovered it. Earth had mapped it. Earth had built stations along its path. By all rights, it belonged to humanity. The Korath saw things differently. "You found it," Vrex admitted, his clawed fingers tapping the stone table. "But you cannot hold it. The corridor passes through space that borders our territory. We need it for our fleet movements. We will take it." "We are offering shared access," Chen said. "Both our peoples can use the corridor. There is enough room for everyone." "Sharing is for the weak," Draxus growled. "The Korath do not share. We take what we want, and we keep what we take. No, this is our way." "Then perhaps your way needs to change," Chen replied calmly. The room went cold. Several Korath officers rose from their seats, their claws extending. Draxus slammed one of his 4 fists on the table, cracking the stone. "You dare speak to us of change?" he roared. "We were conquering worlds when your species was still living in caves. We have crushed civilizations older and stronger than yours. And you, a soft little man with no claws and no fangs, tell us to change?" Chen did not back down. "I tell you that the universe is changing whether you like it or not. Earth is not like the other species you have conquered. We will not surrender. We will not bend. If you want war, we will give you war. And you will lose," Vrex said simply. "Perhaps, but you will pay a price, a heavy price. Is the corridor worth that?" The Korath commander leaned back in his chair. He studied Chen with new interest. "Most species begged when faced with the Dominion. They offered tribute and submission. This human was different. He had fear in his eyes, but he did not let it control him." "You have courage, Ambassador," Vrex said. "I will give you that. But courage does not win wars. Strength wins wars. There are many kinds of strength, Chen repeated. Draxus made a sound of disgust. You keep saying that. It is the excuse of the weak. Real strength is simple. It is the power to destroy your enemies. It is muscle and bone and blood. It is the ability to kill. He pointed at Chen. You have no strength. Your soldiers have no strength. His finger moved to Maya, still standing quietly against the wall. And that little creature has no strength at all. Maya said nothing. She had not spoken since the meeting began. She simply watched and listened, her dark eyes moving from one Korath to another. Look at her, Draxus continued, standing up from his seat. He was truly massive, a mountain of scales and muscle. She is supposed to be a guard, a warrior, but I have seen baby animals with more meat on their bones. She is delicate, fragile. A strong wind could blow her away. Careful, Chen warned. Careful? Draxus laughed. Why should I be careful? What will she do? Bleed on me? He took a step toward Maya. Among my people, we have a test for weakness. We put the weak ones in the pit with the strong ones. If they survive, they earn the right to live. If they do not, he made a crushing motion with his claws. Lieutenant Torres is not weak, Chen said firmly. Then prove it. Draxus was now standing right in front of Maya, looking down at her. He was almost twice her height. His body cast a shadow that covered her completely. Prove that humans have any strength at all. Let this little guard fight me, right here, right now. That is not why we are here, Chen said quickly. We came to negotiate, not to fight. Negotiation is for equals, Draxus replied without looking away from Maya. You want us to treat you as equals? Show us you deserve it. One fight, your best warrior against me. He smiled, showing rows of sharp teeth. Unless you are afraid. The room was completely silent. Every Korath was watching. Every human was holding their breath. Maya looked up at Draxus. She studied his face, his body, his stance. She saw the confidence in his eyes. He had never lost a fight. He had killed hundreds, maybe thousands. He was the greatest warrior in the entire Dominion, and he thought she was nothing. Ambassador, Maya said softly. Her voice was calm, almost gentle. May I speak? Chen hesitated. Then he nodded. Maya stepped forward, moving past Draxus to address the whole room. She walked slowly, her movements smooth and fluid, like water, like silk in the wind. Among my people, she said, there is a saying, still water runs deep. Do you understand what that means? The Krath looked at each other. They did not understand. It means that the quietest pond might hide the deepest darkness, Maya explained. It means that the things that look the most peaceful might be the most dangerous. It means that you should never judge something by how it appears on the surface. Draxus laughed loudly. Poetry! How sweet! Is that how humans fight? With words and pretty sayings? No, Maya said. She turned to face him directly. That is how we warn you, before we fight. Draxus stopped laughing. Something in her voice had changed. It was still soft, still gentle. But there was something underneath it now, something cold and sharp. Is that a challenge, little creature? Draxus asked slowly. If you need it to be. The words hung in the air like a blade. Commander Vrex leaned forward, his yellow eyes bright with interest. By Korath law, a formal challenge could not be refused. To walk away would mean disgrace worse than death. Draxus had to fight now. There was no other choice. The combat pit, Draxus said. 1 hour. We will fight according to the old rules. No weapons, no armor, no mercy. He leaned down until his face was inches from Maya's. I will try not to kill you too quickly, human. It would be a waste. Maya smiled. It was a small smile, gentle and quiet, but her eyes did not smile. Her eyes were as still and deep as a frozen lake. That is very considerate, she said. Thank you. Draxus snorted and stepped back. 1 hour, he repeated. Then he marched out of the room, his heavy footsteps shaking the floor. Chen grabbed Maya's arm as soon as the Korath were gone. What are you doing? He hissed. He will kill you. He has killed champions from a dozen worlds. You cannot win this. Maya gently removed his hand. Ambassador, you said you brought me for a reason. This is the reason. I brought you to protect me, not to throw your life away. I am protecting you, Maya said. I am protecting all of us. If I run from this fight, the Krath will never respect humanity. They will think we are cowards and weaklings. They will take what they want and destroy anyone who stands in their way. And if you die? Maya looked toward the door where Draxus had gone. Her eyes were calm. Her breathing was steady. There was no fear in her at all. I will not die, she said simply. He will. Then she walked out of the room to prepare, leaving Ambassador Chen alone with his fear and his desperate hope that she was right. The combat pit was the oldest place on the ship. It had been built before the Pride of Korath was even named. Generations of warriors had fought and died on its dark stone floor. The walls were covered with old blood that no one had ever cleaned. It was considered sacred, a badge of honor. The pit was a circle, about 50 feet across. It was sunken into the floor, with high walls on all sides. Above the walls, a viewing platform circled the entire arena. Today, every inch of that platform was filled with Korath warriors. Hundreds of them had come to watch. Word had spread through the ship like fire. A human had challenged Draxus, a tiny female human, the weakest-looking creature any of them had ever seen. It was going to be a slaughter. It was going to be entertainment. The Krath laughed and shouted and made bets with each other. Most bets were about how quickly Draxus would kill her. 10 seconds? 5? Some thought he might play with her first, like a cat with a mouse. Others thought he would end it with one blow. No one bet on the human winning. The idea was too foolish to consider. Ambassador Chen stood in a small section reserved for guests. His face was pale. His hands were shaking. The 4 armored soldiers stood around him, but they looked just as scared. They were about to watch their comrade die, and there was nothing they could do. A loud horn blew, and the crowd went quiet. Draxus entered the pit from the east side. The Korath cheered and stomped their feet. He was their champion, their hero, their ultimate warrior. He raised all 4 arms to greet his fans, and they roared even louder. He had removed his armor. His body was a map of old scars and thick muscle. His scales gleamed under the harsh lights. His claws had been sharpened until they looked like knives. He moved with the confidence of someone who had never known defeat. Then Maya entered from the west side. The cheering stopped. A wave of confused murmurs swept through the crowd. She looked even smaller in the pit, even more fragile. She had removed her shoes and her jacket. She wore only a simple black shirt and black pants. Her feet were bare. Her hands were empty. She walked to the center of the pit and stood there, waiting. Draxus approached her slowly, his yellow eyes looking her up and down. He shook his massive head. I almost feel bad about this, he said loudly so the crowd could hear. It will be like crushing an insect. There is no honor in such a victory. Then surrender, Maya replied. Save yourself the trouble. The crowd gasped. Then they laughed. What a funny little creature, making jokes before her death. Draxus smiled his terrible smile. You have courage, human. I will give you that. I will make your death quick, a mercy. Maya settled into her stance. It did not look like much. Her knees were slightly bent. Her hands were open and relaxed at her sides. Her weight was balanced perfectly between both feet. She looked almost casual, like someone waiting for a bus. Whenever you are ready, she said. Commander Vrex stood at the edge of the viewing platform. He raised his hand, and the crowd went silent. The challenge has been accepted, Vrex announced. The fight is to submission or death. No weapons, no interference. Let the strongest survive. He dropped his hand. Begin. Draxus did not waste time. He charged. 400 pounds of Korath warrior moved with shocking speed. His 4 arms spread wide, claws extended, ready to grab and tear and crush. His feet pounded the stone floor. His roar shook the air. He was death coming on 2 legs. Maya waited. The crowd held their breath. Chen closed his eyes. At the last possible moment, Maya moved. She did not run away. She did not try to block. She stepped forward into the attack. Her body twisted sideways, sliding past his reaching claws like smoke through fingers. She was beside him now, inside his guard, closer than anyone had ever gotten. Her palm struck his throat. Not hard, just precise, right at the soft spot where his scales were thinnest. Draxus made a choking sound. His charge stumbled. Maya was already moving. Her knee came up, fast as a snake, and hit the nerve cluster behind his front leg. The leg went dead. Draxus started to fall. Before he could catch himself with his other legs, Maya's elbow connected with his temple. Again, not a powerful blow, but placed perfectly at the exact point where skull met spine. 3 strikes, 2 seconds. Draxus collapsed face first onto the stone floor. His massive body crashed down with a sound like thunder. He did not move. He did not rise. He was unconscious before he hit the ground. Silence. Complete and total silence. Maya stood over the fallen champion, not even breathing hard. There was not a scratch on her, not a mark, not a single hair out of place. For a long moment, no one made a sound. The Korath stared down at the pit with their mouths open. They could not understand what they had just seen. It had happened so fast. Too fast. Their champion, their undefeated hero, was lying in the dirt, and the tiny human woman was standing over him like it was nothing. One of the Korath officers turned to his friend. "What just happened?" he whispered. His friend had no answer. Ambassador Chen opened his eyes. He saw Maya standing. He saw Draxus fallen. He felt his legs go weak with relief. Maya looked up at the crowd. She turned slowly, meeting the eyes of every Korath who watched. Her face was calm. Her breathing was steady. She did not smile or celebrate or boast. She simply stood there and let them see. Then she spoke. Her voice was soft, but in the silence everyone heard. "Do you understand now?" No one answered. Maya continued. "Your champion relied on his size, his strength, his claws. He thought these things made him powerful. But power is not just about muscles and weapons. Power is about knowledge, about precision, about understanding exactly where to strike and when." She pointed down at Draxus's unconscious body. "I did not overpower him. I did not need to. I simply knew where he was weak. 3 points on his body, 3 small targets. That was all it took." Commander Vrex's voice cut through the silence. "You could have killed him." Maya looked up at him. "Yes. I saw the strikes you pulled. You held back." "Yes." Vrex was quiet for a moment. His yellow eyes studied her with new respect, new caution, new interest. "Why?" he finally asked. "He would have killed you without hesitation. Why show mercy?" Maya walked toward the edge of the pit, stepping over Draxus's body without looking down. She stopped directly below where Vrex stood. "Because this was not about killing," she said. "This was about teaching. I wanted you to see what humans can do. I wanted you to understand that we are not as weak as we look. Now you know." She turned and walked toward the exit, her bare feet silent on the blood-stained stone. Behind her, Draxus groaned and began to stir. He was alive. He would recover. But he would never forget this moment, and neither would anyone else who had witnessed it. At the viewing platform, Commander Vrex watched the small human woman leave the pit. His claws tapped slowly against the railing. He had conquered 17 species. He had crushed empires and broken armies. He had thought humans would be easy prey. He was beginning to realize that he might have been very, very wrong. 2 hours after the fight, Maya sat alone in the quarters they had given her. She had washed the dust from her feet and changed into fresh clothes. Now she was sitting cross-legged on the floor, her eyes closed, her breathing slow and deep. A knock came at the door. "Enter," she said without opening her eyes. The door slid open, and Commander Vrex stepped inside. He had to bend down to fit through the doorway. The room felt much smaller with him in it. Maya opened her eyes and looked up at him. She did not stand. She did not bow. She simply waited. Vrex studied her for a long moment. Then slowly he lowered himself to the floor. It was not easy for his massive body, but he did it. He sat across from her, their eyes now at the same level. "I have come to understand," he said. "Understand what?" "You, your species, what you are." He paused. "I have fought enemies across 3 galaxies. I have seen warriors of every shape and size. But I have never seen anything like what you did today. It was not strength. It was not speed. It was something else. I want to know what. Maya considered his words, then she nodded. What do you know about Earth? She asked. Vrex made a gesture that might have been a shrug. A small planet, mostly water. Nothing special. You are wrong, Maya said. Earth is one of the most dangerous planets in the known universe, and that is why humans are the way we are. Vrex leaned forward, interested despite himself. Our world tried to kill us every single day, Maya continued. We had no natural weapons, no claws, no fangs, no armor. Our skin was soft. Our bones were fragile. We were not the strongest animals on our planet. We were not the fastest. We were not the biggest. By all logic, we should have died out millions of years ago. But you did not. No, we did not. Maya's eyes grew distant, as if she was looking back through time. Instead, we learned. We watched the animals that hunted us. We studied how they moved, how they attacked, where they were weak. We could not fight them with our bodies, so we fought them with our minds. She stood up and began to pace slowly across the room. Vrex watched her every movement. Over thousands of years, we developed fighting systems, not systems based on power, but systems based on knowledge. We learned that every creature, no matter how big or strong, has weak points, places where a small amount of force can cause a large amount of damage, places where muscles attach to bone, places where nerves gather close to the skin, places where blood flows near the surface. The points where you struck Draxus, Vrex said quietly. Yes, his throat, the nerve cluster in his leg, his temple, 3 small targets, 3 quick strikes. That was all it took to bring down your greatest champion. Maya turned to face Vrex directly. And I know the same points on your body, on every body. It is what I was trained to do. Vrex was silent for a long moment. When he spoke again, his voice was thoughtful. You said humans have no natural weapons, but what you have learned, what you have built, that is a weapon, a terrible weapon. Yes, we call it martial arts, the art of war, the art of fighting. There are hundreds of different systems, thousands of techniques. Humans have spent our entire history learning how to defeat enemies bigger and stronger than ourselves. It is in our blood. It is in our bones. It is who we are. And you, Vrex said slowly, you are a master of these arts. I have trained since I was 4 years old, 26 years of practice. Every day, every hour, learning how to use my body as a weapon, learning how to see the weaknesses that others cannot see. Maya sat back down across from him. Your people never needed to learn this. You were born with claws and scales and strength. You have always been the hunters, never the hunted. You fight with power because power has always been enough. Until now, Maya nodded. Against most enemies, your way works. But against humans, it fails. Because we have learned to turn your power against you. The harder you strike, the more we can use your own force to hurt you. The bigger you are, the more weak points you have for us to target. Vrex looked down at his own massive hands. His claws gleamed in the dim light. He had killed countless enemies with these hands. He had crushed bones and torn flesh. He had thought nothing could stand against him. Now he was not so sure. Why are you telling me this? He asked. This is your greatest secret, your hidden advantage. Why reveal it to an enemy? Maya smiled. It was a sad smile, tired and old. Because you are not my enemy, not yet, and I do not want you to become one. She leaned forward. Commander, Earth does not want war with the Korath Dominion. We have seen enough war. We have lost enough lives. We want peace. We want trade. We want to share the Helios corridor, not fight over it. Your ambassador said the same thing, and he meant it. But he knew you would not listen. The Korath only respect strength. So we had to show you strength, not with weapons or ships or armies, with something else. With proof that humans are not the weak creatures you think we are. Vrex was quiet again. He seemed to be thinking deeply, processing everything she had told him. If we had gone to war, he finally said, how many of your people have this training? These martial arts? Millions, Maya said simply. Every human soldier learns at least the basics. And there are many like me, many who have dedicated their lives to these skills. Millions. Vrex repeated the word like it was a foreign sound. Millions of warriors who can do what you did today. Yes, and that is just the physical combat. We also have weapons, machines, technologies. We have learned to turn every disadvantage into an advantage, every weakness into a strength. It is how we survived on our dangerous planet. It is how we spread to the stars. It is how we will fight you if we must. Vrex rose to his feet. It was a slow movement, almost respectful. I have misjudged your species, Lieutenant Torres. I thought you were prey animals who had somehow stumbled into space. I thought you were weak creatures waiting to be conquered. He looked down at her with his yellow eyes. I see now that I was wrong. You are something far more dangerous. You are survivors. Yes, Maya said, standing to meet his gaze. That is exactly what we are, and we will survive anything, including the Korath Dominion. Vrex was silent for a long moment. Then he did something that shocked Maya completely. He bowed, a full bow, bending his massive body low. Tomorrow we will negotiate again, he said. I believe the terms will be different. Then he turned and left the room, leaving Maya alone with her thoughts and the quiet hope that maybe, just maybe, she had changed something today. Maybe she had saved more than just her own life. Maybe she had saved millions. The morning came slowly on the pride of Korath. In space, there was no real sun to rise, but the ship's lights gradually brightened to signal a new day. It was a new day in more ways than one. Ambassador Chen arrived at the conference room early. He had barely slept. His mind had been racing all night, playing the fight over and over again. He still could not believe what he had seen. Maya, the small, quiet woman he had chosen specifically for this mission, had defeated the greatest warrior in the Korath Dominion in less than 3 seconds. He had known she was special. He had read her file. But reading about someone's abilities and seeing them in action were two very different things. The conference room was different today. The air felt different. Even the way the Korath officers sat in their chairs felt different. There was no more laughing, no more dismissive looks. When Chen walked in, every single Korath straightened up and paid attention. Maya walked beside him, as she always did. She had not changed. She still wore her simple black clothes. She still moved with that same quiet grace. But the Korath looked at her now with different eyes. They had seen what she could do. They would never see her as weak again. Commander Vrex was already seated at the head of the table. Next to him sat Draxus. The high warrior looked terrible. His throat was bruised purple where Maya had struck him. He moved slowly and carefully, like someone whose body hurt in many places. But he was alive. And when Maya entered the room, he did not look away. He watched her, studied her, tried to understand how such a small creature had brought him down so easily. Please sit, Vrex said. His voice was different too, more respectful, more careful. Chen sat down. Maya took her usual position, standing behind him. But this time, no one made jokes about it. I have spoken with my officers, Vrex began, and I have spoken with our leaders back on the homeworld. I have told them what happened yesterday. I have told them what Lieutenant Torres did, and I have told them what she explained to me afterward. He paused, his yellow eyes moving across the human delegation. The Korath Dominion has decided to change our position. Chen felt his heart jump. Change how? We no longer wish to take the Helios corridor by force. Instead, we propose a partnership. Vrex slid a datapad across the table. Shared access to the corridor, mutual defense agreements, trade routes between our worlds, and, he hesitated as if the next words were difficult to say, a cultural exchange program. Cultural exchange? Chen picked up the datapad, surprised. What kind of exchange? We want to learn. It was Draxus who spoke. His voice was rough, damaged from the strike to his throat, but there was no anger in it, only curiosity. I have fought enemies from a dozen worlds. I have won every battle. I thought I knew everything about combat, but yesterday, I learned that I know nothing. He turned to look at Maya directly. Your fighting styles, your martial arts, we want to understand them. We want to send our warriors to Earth to train. We want to learn what you know. Maya raised an eyebrow. You want to learn from humans? Yes. Draxus did not look away. I was the finest warrior in the Dominion. You defeated me in seconds without even trying. You showed me that strength is not enough, that there are ways of fighting that I have never imagined. I want to learn these ways. It would take years, Maya said. Decades. These skills cannot be learned quickly. Then we will take years. Decades. Draxus touched the bruise on his throat. I have much to learn, and I am willing to be a student. Vrex nodded. My people have always valued strength above all else. We thought it was the only thing that mattered, but you have shown us something different. You have shown us that knowledge can be stronger than muscle, that precision can defeat power, that the smallest warrior can bring down the largest enemy. He looked at Maya with something close to admiration. You could have killed Draxus. You could have torn him apart with those techniques of yours, but you chose not to. You showed mercy to someone who would have shown you none. That tells me something about your people. You are not just dangerous. You are wise, and wisdom is something the Korath have not valued enough. Ambassador Chen read through the proposal on the datapad. It was everything Earth had hoped for and more. Not just peace, but partnership. Not just survival, but friendship between species. This is very generous, Chen said carefully. It is practical, Vrex replied. We have conquered many species, but we have not learned much from them. They were too weak to teach us anything. You are different. You are strong in ways we do not understand, ways we want to understand. He stood up from his chair, and all the other Korath stood with him. The Korath Dominion officially recognizes humanity as equals, not subjects, not enemies, partners. He extended one of his four massive hands toward Chen. Do you accept? Chen stood up slowly. He looked at Maya. She gave him a small nod. He reached out and took Vrex's hand. The Korath's grip was gentle, careful not to crush the smaller human hand. Earth accepts, Chen said. We look forward to a long and peaceful partnership. The room erupted in sounds of approval from both sides. Korath officers clapped their hands together. Human soldiers let out breaths they had been holding. The impossible had happened. Peace had been made. As the celebration continued, Draxus approached Maya. He stood before her, this massive warrior who had been humbled in front of his entire species. But there was no shame in his eyes, only respect. I would like to know, he said quietly, what you are called. Your fighting style, the way you move, the way you strike. Does it have a name? Maya smiled. There are many names. Aikido, Krav Maga, Jiu-Jitsu, Systema, Wing Chun. Hundreds of systems, developed over thousands of years, each one designed to help the weak defeat the strong. So many, Draxus murmured. Your people truly have thought about this for a long time. We had no choice. We were born weak on a world that wanted to kill us. We had to become smart to survive. Draxus was quiet for a moment. Then he said, I was raised to believe that weakness was shameful, that only the strong deserved to live. But you were weak and you became strong, stronger than me. Perhaps weakness is not shameful. Perhaps it is a teacher. That is a wise thought, Maya said. Perhaps you have already started learning. She offered her hand, the human gesture of respect and friendship. Draxus looked at it. Then slowly he took it, his massive clawed hand wrapped carefully around her small human fingers. Thank you, he said, for not killing me, for teaching me, for showing me that there is more to the universe than I knew. You are welcome, Maya replied. I hope we can learn from each other. They released hands, and Draxus walked away to join his fellow warriors. But something had changed in him, something fundamental. He would never look at smaller creatures the same way again. Later that day, the human shuttle departed from the Pride of Korath. Ambassador Chen sat in his seat staring at the signed treaty in his hands. He still could not quite believe it. We did it, he said softly. We actually did it. Maya sat beside him, looking out the window at the stars. The Helios corridor glittered in the distance, a river of light connecting worlds. Yes, she said. We did. I have to ask, Chen said, turning to look at her. Were you ever scared? Even for a moment? Maya considered the question. Fear is always there, she said, but fear does not have to control you. You can feel it and still act. You can be afraid and still be brave. That is what my masters taught me. Chen nodded slowly. The galaxy is lucky to have people like you. Maya smiled, but there was something sad in it. The galaxy is lucky that people like me exist, and that we use our skills for peace instead of war. We could be terrible enemies. It is better to be friends. The shuttle jumped to light speed, leaving the Korath warship behind. Behind them, a species that had conquered 17 worlds was beginning to question everything they knew about strength and weakness. And somewhere in the endless stars, other species were hearing the story. The story of the tiny human woman who had defeated a giant. The story of the delicate creature who was not delicate at all. Humanity had sent a message to the universe that day, a message that would echo through the stars for generations. Never mistake gentleness for weakness. Never judge strength by size. And never ever underestimate a human. Because some of the most dangerous things in the universe come in the most delicate packages.